Welcome back to PowerPlay. Well, as you know, Foreign Affairs Minister John Baird is touring the Middle East. Recently, or last day or so, he's met with Palestinian Authority leaders to discuss negotiations with Israel. He doesn't hide his feelings very well. To discuss what's going on over there and whether Canada's doing the right thing, I wanted to bring in Norman Spector. He's a former Canadian ambassador to Israel. I've known him, my goodness, since the early 1990s when he was over there. Norm, I'm glad you could join us on the show, and I want to get right to it. It's been argued that Canada is sort of losing its place in the world as sort of an honest broker or referee, particularly in the Middle East. You disagree. Why do you disagree?
Well, I think we saw evidence of that in this morning's Globe, where you have a major story suggesting that the Palestinian Authority President, Mahmoud Abbas, wants Canada to get involved in the peace process, to use its friendship with Israel to help bridge the two sides and to move the peace process along. So I wasn't surprised to see that story, quite frankly, because the last time Canada was asked to play any role in the Mideast was in 1991 when Mr. Mulroney was Prime Minister, and Mr. Mulroney used to get the same knock that Mr. Harper gets now, that he was too pro-Israel. So quite frankly, I think the analysis is wrong. I think we are exceptionally well placed now to play a role, and I would encourage the government to use its diplomacy to try to bring Israelis and Palestinians together towards a two-state solution.
That's so interesting, because we always thought you had to sort of play both sides in order to get something to progress. And you're saying Canada's strong pro-Israeli stance has been an asset. And I just find that so interesting. Do you think that Israel is going to be in a position where they'll actually listen to what Canada's saying on this? And they're saying, you know, basically, stop negotiating about negotiations. Move stuff forward, get to the table and talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I think that is the role that we can play, and it's not just our relationship with the Israelis. We have excellent relations with the Palestinians. Declaring what your position is not something that is inimical to diplomacy. Quite frankly, the Palestinian Foreign Minister, Riyad al-Maliki, is a great friend of Canada. He, in the 1990s, was very much in the outs, and it was really the Canadian embassy and Canadian diplomats who kept him and his faction of the Palestine Liberation Organization in business. And there still are diplomats who were very junior then, but are now quite senior in the department, who have excellent contacts with the Palestinians, and we could, it seems to me, play a very creative role in trying to bring the two sides back to the table.
Well, if Abbas is saying get Israel to come to the table, that suggests he actually wants to talk, and they're not going to try and do that United Nations, get the statehood issue recognized, that he actually just wants to have face-to-face with Israel, which is what Canada's been saying all along.
Well, look, it's going to take, the two sides are at a standoff, and they're really negotiating over the shape of the table and process issues. So it's going to take a very creative bridging proposal, but I suspect that there are people in the Pearson building who have been thinking about this, and I don't think it takes a genius to figure out a way to get the two sides back to the table.
Well, and do you think the whole UN thing is over and done with? The Palestinians will get recognition to have some sort of quasi-independent situation? Do you think that issue's over?
It's kind of, yeah, I think that has petered out. I think once the Americans said that they would veto the issue at the Security Council, it really became a non-route for the Palestinians.
I want to get your thoughts before I leave, because I know you still keep a very keen eye on foreign affairs. Iran, is this thing resolvable in a diplomatic way, or do you see something really bad coming down the pipe?
Well, I think the odds of actual conflict are low. I think the two sides are choreographing their moves very carefully. An accident and an incident can always happen, but I think that various players will try to be keeping lid on this pot through the American election, I think that is the really dangerous period. I think various parties will be calculating whether they can use President Obama's position in the polls as a way of leverage, but so far I don't think anybody has seen that to be to their advantage.
Okay, Norman Spector, we really appreciate you coming in. I always appreciate talking to you.
Good to be with you, Don.